Mr. Kilburn, what's going on, brother? I'm glad to hear you're coming home. Missed you, pal. Just here, you know, painting some Russian stuff, doing some weathering, mixing paints and colors and all that fancy jazz. Because weathering is fun, they said. Water. Like mixing water to make some washes. Get my nice stiff brush. Mix it up. Get a little bit of a lighter tone. I think it needs a little more water. This is like woosah for me. As you guys can see right here, I've already kind of lightened it up a little bit. I want to lighten it up some more in certain areas. Don't be afraid to use your fingers. Add a little more yellow in there. Add the little highlight parts because obviously, you know, this thing's been weathering in the sun. So you want to make sure that you get those old sun kind of wear down patterns. I'll try my best to stay on point with your comments and questions, because I can't really see my phone. Chris Lewis, what's up, buddy? The other thing to weathering, for those of you who are uncomfortable with the idea or the concept, is simply find a good reference. A good reference that maybe you want to copy or take some ideas from, you know. That always helps, so that you don't over or underdo weathering, because that could totally ruin something and make it look extremely fake. I got hit up by a lot of you guys that watch my live feeds wanting me to kind of do this, so here you go. This is for you guys, because I would really like to jam out to music and stuff, but unfortunately, thanks to Facebook and their stupid rules, I can't do that. I could totally paint your nails. Could totally paint your nails, Steve. Hold on. Don't lie, Jeremy. You didn't miss them all. You just missed me. And maybe Heidi. By the way, Jeremy, you'll be happy to know that the mammoth that you so feverishly put together for me, I'll be doing the body work on it soon and getting that sucker painted up. See if you guys could see the concept that I'm going with on this T-72 is not so much battle worn or battle torn, more like the concept of it was just abandoned for whatever reason. Maybe they ran out of fuel, maybe the crew got killed, I don't know, but it kind of just got abandoned and set in this like marshland kind of muddy area, and you know, we went out there and we rescued it, and you know, we're gonna try to bring it back to life. So in doing so, that's why you'll see the weathering like this, where it's just like all muddy and smoke from the exhaust, and it's just all messed up. Hey Carl, PM me so I can get you the tracking info and you can track it. Find out where the hell it is. 'Cause it was a nice big one. Ken Davies, thank you, sir. Appreciate that. So you always want to be careful never to overdo this portion of it, because it'll make it look gaudy and fake. And usually when I'm applying any kind of watered down paint, I use a really stiff brush, because the soft brushes tend to soak everything up and give you more paint in areas that you may not want. Alright. Plus you also got to show how worn it is from just being overly cleaned and washed, or rain, water, dust, dirt. I mean, these things definitely weren't super pretty. When they were being used, they were always maintained and taken care of, but for the purpose of this one, we're not really maintaining it, per se. There we go. Martin, will I add real mud? No, I added mixed some sand and brown and did my own kind of mud thing. The functioning one will definitely go through mud, water, the whole nine. This one's really not going to see that, because obviously it's being painted to look that way. Thank you, Carl. I appreciate that, brother. Jerry, thank you, sir. Trust me, it took a lot of practice, man. It really did. It took a lot of practice. And I'm still getting there. I learn new things every day, but I try to pass everything on to you guys. And like I said, having the right kind of references makes all of the difference. Having the right washes, the right colors. I mean, shoot, you name it. All that makes a big difference. But I truly enjoy painting and weathering and doing all that good stuff. Weathering by far takes a lot of time and a lot of skill only because you're trying to replicate what Mother Nature does naturally versus one solid paint job and calling it a day. Plus, you also got to have that steady hand when it comes to brushwork. And I'll give you guys an example of brushwork. So I used to do pinstriping back in the day, on cars, and writing people's names and doing all that fancy stuff. And I hadn't done that in a long time. It requires you to have a stiff composure with your hand, not kind of shaking, being able to place your pinky or your thumb and kind of prep yourself. And to give you guys an idea, I finished this cab for a customer of mine, and this was all actually hand brushed. Let me see if we could focus on here. All the silver was a brush, no tape, just all fine line brushwork. I'm actually have to wet sand it now and give it another coat, only because this is the unfortunate side to Shapeways stuff. You get kind of that orange peely kind of effect instead of that really, really smooth. So sometimes I tend to paint it, and then once it's actually done being painted, I'll give it a nice little scuff or a 600, 800 wet sand, and then I'll re-clear it again using full-size HVLP gun, so that we get that full shininess that we want, that factory finish without the orange peel. But that was all hand striped with a brush. That was a pain in the ass. My absolute pleasure, Jerry. And if you ever need any pointers, feel free to reach out to me. I've been asked by a few people to do some tutorial videos and stuff like that. And, if that's something that you guys are definitely interested in, let me know. Because if you want it, I'll make it happen. I have no problem trying to teach you guys how to do this, because this is very therapeutic, at least for me. Super fun to do. It will get a little expensive when you start buying the really, really good paints, but it's totally worth it. That's one thing I'll tell you guys. Do not skimp out on the paints, ever. Because in doing so, you're only going to hurt yourself. Don't worry, guys, I'm not going to beat the crap out of or super rust my Mammoth or my trailer. That'll be general usage wear and tear, not an abandoned kind of weather. And I'm really looking forward to doing that. What brands for brush or airbrushes? Honestly, believe it or not, Jerry, as far as brushes go, I'm not a huge stickler for brands on brushes, because I've had the best and I've had the worst, and they all kind of last the same as long as you take care of them properly. You kind of go for what you feel is right. And price-wise, you can definitely get some cheaper brushes that will do the job, no problem. I tend to stay away from like synthetic stuff, because it tends to kind of fall apart more. As far as the airbrush, I'm a fan of Iwata and their line, their Neo line. It's an inexpensive line, but very, very good. The only thing with that is you have to maintain them, keep them clean at all times. And then paint. So me personally, I'm a fan of Model Color, also known as Vallejo. See if we can get that to focus. Come on, focus. There we go. Model Color. I'm a huge fan of Model Color made by Vallejo. They have a plethora of paints that you can use, and for those of you getting in that aren't sure on how to rust or stain or whatever, they do sell kits just like this. Rust, stain, and streaking, and it actually comes with step-by-step. They're not the greatest, but they're like step-by-step instructionals on how to do certain things to get the rust effect that you want. And it's pretty cool, especially if you've never done it before, until you get used to it. Is the technique that they tell you in the pamphlet good for everything? No, it's not. Is it a general overview? Yes, definitely enough to get your feet wet and get you into the right frame of mind into what to expect. So those are really, really cool. I recommend those. If you guys are in the States, Amazon is your best friend. The sets can be anywhere from $20 to upwards of $40 per, but worth every penny. This stuff is an acrylic-based, water-based paint, but it has the consistency of like an oil-based paint, which I really love because you get to really, really spread these colors out. And today we'll be painting happy tanks. There we go. Got the caps all black. Billy, what's up, brother? Ken Davies, yes, I will be adding, marking some numbers, things of that nature. I actually have a really good reference picture on my computer of a walkthrough that Gio was able to find for these tanks, where the person who took the pictures literally took pictures of a decommissioned T-72, like every single angle, detail, plethora, everything. Vallejo also makes these bad boys, which are your best friend for weathering motors, anything, because it has, you know, like these oil stains, and it's an oil stains wash. You got petrol stains, engine grime, brown engine soot, diesel stains, desert dust if you're trying to do you know, some weathering on like a desert tan or things of that nature. Just your regular brown wash, fuel stains. Yeah, so I think it's pretty badass. So what I like to do is get some of the, and just because it says petrol doesn't mean you have to only use it for fuel things. It's more of the color than anything. So what I'd like to do for right now is just move this out of the way, and then take this bad boy. And I've already kind of started to weather these a little bit, but I want to get a little more in depth. So since these are washes, if you want something to stay in a certain area, you have to have it flat, because if you don't, it's going to run down. And I definitely want to give this thing the appearance that, you know, it's got the petrol spill, the darker kind of stains, and then maybe do a little diesel coming out the side, because obviously these bad boys ran on diesel. And honestly, with the wash, you kind of just follow the shape of whatever it is that you're painting. You go over the lips. And just kind of leave it. You could force dry it with a blow dryer or a heat gun. You take advantage in all the flat spots right now. You put it on, and then you flip it to the other side, do the other side as well. As you can see already, over here, it's really starting to get that really kind of oily, grimy kind of stain on it. Super badass. You're right, Jeremy. If it isn't leaking, it's empty. Also started building this bad boy yesterday. The nice howitzer. This thing is a work of art. Just the amount of detail into this thing. I cannot wait to paint this. Let's get you back on the stand here. Let's see. Oil stains. we definitely want to get some oil stains. Over here, you know, on the caps running down, but we'll wait until this is back level, and then I'll actually dab in the oil and kind of let it drip down, because it would on a real one. Everybody knows that, at least people that have worked on it know. It's beautiful how it's drying up right there. You can see that looks lovely. Spread it around a little bit more. While that's doing that, let's paint the gun on the turret. Bring some metal out of that. And actually, this would have been like a cap, like a rubber cap type of deal here, so we want to actually kind of bring it out just a smidge. So what I'll do is I'll do some ivory sand that's actually kind of watered down. And as you can see, I put the stuff on my table because literally it comes right off. I'll get one of these awesome little artist sponges that are kind of porous, you know, and kind of just do a little dabbing on it to give it that like worn kind of rubber look. So as you can see, it gives you that really kind of weathered down rubber look on the cap, you know, from sitting in the sun. You can even do some of that same kind of on the edges. Kind of highlight things, corners, edges. It really gives that edge a nice little highlight, as you can see. Just enough of the ivory there. It gives it that nice little worn down kind of edge. Try not to use too much of it, because you can go past the look that you're trying to go, and then it's kind of hard when you've already airbrushed to kind of undo it. Unless that's what you're going for, then that's what you do. Brings everything to life. Finally, just happy that, you know, companies have been putting out military specific kits that are era specific and super high in detail, and, you know, a nice big scale. love these little sponges. They do wonders. You can kind of see already right there how it's all nice and weathered, and you know, we'll have to rust up some spots too, but this is very much so in the realm of what I enjoy doing. And it feels good to finally take some time and kind of work on my own stuff. Plus, it kind of makes sense when you've spent all this money on these kits and stuff and you haven't really done anything with them. They kind of just sit here. Kind of makes you upset. Worn edges is where it's at. And make sure you have a big enough work area when you're doing stuff like this. That's key. But if you guys have any other questions, just let me know. And I'll do my best to answer them for you. You also, when weathering too, stuff like this, you want to kind of go up and down versus side to side, because when it rains, obviously the water's going downward, not horizontally, unless you're in like a tornado. So it helps with the whole weathering aspect of it. We flat blacked that light here, but now we want to make it gloss so it looks like a lens. That's the simplest way to do it, is just doing it with gloss. Or you can do like a glossy kind of wash. Glad I could help teach something, Chris. Always just trying to pay it forward to the hobby. If I could teach you guys something, then I'm doing my job, and then you guys can have way more fun and experimentations with your rigs and how you paint them and how you treat them. See how we got that lens effect now from the gloss? It's a beautiful thing. Back in the day, this was like a cloth kind of leather. That's what I kind of went for with the lighter kind of stuff. I want to bring out the bolts on everything, kind of make them a little raw, like they've been torqued down, and obviously the paint comes off when you're putting product on or when you're screwing them on. So we want to give that effect. So what we do with that is we get a really, really tiny stiff brush. Let's see. And I keep all my brushes in a nice cup like this, standing up so that they don't get messed up. We find the right brush. We grab ourselves, where did that paint go? It disappeared somewhere. Gunmetal's the best one to use. Oh, that's black. We don't want black. Nope, I think it's here. Nope, that's tire black. That's black. I think I hit it for myself. I hate when I do that. Anywho, maybe we should start with some, no, we need to find it. Where to go? We also have, from our Citadel model paints, we have what we call lead belcher. And this stuff here is like pure metal. It's like a nice steel kind of metal color. I don't know if you can really tell from the light. But I like to just dab in here a little bit and kind of go over the bolts. To give it that, you know, raw kind of paint came off from using a socket to put this stuff on, because everybody knows when you use a socket, whether it be on a ratchet or an impact, the paint's going to come right off. So we want to kind of do this to give the effect that the paint has come off. So nice and subtle, nothing that pops out too much, but makes a huge difference in the scale look of things. Kind of want to go on the hardware too. Piece of sponge. And don't worry about trying to get every little latch or every nook and cranny of a latch or piece of hardware, because honestly, not all of the paint would come off completely. It would just kind of be on the tops. Like the insides of this would still be green because you don't really touch the insides ever. It's not exposed to the sun. You know, the key to weathering too is understanding how the world works as far as sun and erosion and just the degradation of metals and paint and oils and all that good stuff. The more you know about that, the better you'll be with weathering and understanding how everything works. Anybody else got any other questions? I know the video is not the greatest thing in the world. Pictures will definitely do this a lot more justice, but just kind of wanted to share with you guys what I was doing and how I was doing it. There we go, a lot more depth in that now. Well, if you guys don't have any other questions or comments or concerns, I'm going to get back to doing this, put some jams on, finish off my week with some relaxing therapeutic painting, and hopefully have some pictures up for you guys sooner than later. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Appreciate your time. As always, it's me, the painter. Have fun, enjoy. If you guys have any questions on how to do stuff, let me know. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.